Hey there, welcome back. I'm here with the amazing, the incredible, the wonderful, the lovely Amanda Robbins.
Oh,
Nice to
thanks, my
have you.
love. It's so great to have you and to be here.
Thank you. Today we are talking about what we covered in our Core 4 challenge yesterday, which is transforming your focus for maximum impact. One of the biggest challenges I see for most professionals is they're so busy with everything they have to do that they feel like there's a never ending to do list. They're constantly trying to get more done. They're feeling overwhelmed and constantly behind no matter how much they accomplish. Meaning, nowadays with AI, the internet, and everything in between, we're able to get two times, three times, four times, five times more things done. But even though, if we were to measure the amount of things done you were doing in the past versus the amount of things you're getting done now, you're probably doing two, three, four, maybe even five times as much. The problem is you feel like you're still behind. And so it's a psychological adjustment, but there's a strategic adjustment to this as well. And so feeling like they're behind, overwhelmed. I don't know if you've had this experience for those of you watching where no matter how much you get done, like you could clear the whole to-do list, but at the end of the day, you look at tomorrow and there's another gigantic to-do list of everything you got to do. And then once you get that done, there's just another list of things to do. And for some people, that becomes overwhelming, where you just start to feel overwhelmed, you start to feel behind, you start to feel like no matter what you do, you always end up with just more stuff to do. And then the real consequence of all of this is the inability or not enough time to go do all the things you feel called to do, whether that's stuff for your own mental and emotional and physical health, or that's spending more time with the ones you love, or that's taking a family trip, or that's whatever that is, the thing, spending time on the people and projects that matter is the way I say it. And that time doesn't exist because you're so busy just trying to get it all done. So I don't know if you relate to this for those of you who are watching, but we covered this yesterday and we shared some really simple adjustments anyone can make. That if you make these very simple adjustments, all of a sudden you'll be in a position where you can get more done in less time. You can have the opportunity to then take the excess time, the extra time, and invest it into the people and projects that matter. We call these high impact activities. And then finally, you get more opportunities to spend with the ones you love and go have fun and go have that freedom that people really desire. I think wealth, true wealth, is three things. It's having the financial freedom to do what you want to do, it's having the time freedom to do what you want to do, but then most importantly, it's having purpose. It's having this feeling of feeling alive, feeling like you matter, feeling like what you do makes a difference. And I believe you can't be truly wealthy unless you have all three of those. Because I've met people with lots of money and no free time. I've met people with a lot of free time and no money. And I've met people in the worst position with a lot of free time and a ton of money, but no purpose. And they often fall into vices and distractions and all kinds of nonsense. But when you meet someone who has all three, they both have time freedom and financial freedom, and they found purpose in their life. Gosh, it's hard to beat. Like that's an incredible place to be. And so that's what we're going to dive into quickly today before my lovely wife has to go lead our group coaching session to help everyone who learned this yesterday actually apply it.
Yeah. So, one thing we're going to do this, I think, a little bit differently. I'd love to ask you a couple questions because with what we taught yesterday, it was so brilliant. You help people shift from getting out of a, like, if you ask, like, what are your goals and what are you focused on this month, right? What do you want to accomplish this month? And they have more of a to do list. And our mentor would say, you can get so stuck like just moving things around on your desk, so to speak, just moving. I'm so busy. I'm so busy. And really, you've just moved a bunch of things. But when you take a step back and look at what did you really accomplish, you actually didn't accomplish your goals. You fell a little short. And so that's what we're trying to solve for, right? And so, or that's what you did solve for yesterday, which was so beautiful. There were such incredible aha moments and breakthrough moments where people saw, like, wow, yeah,
Can I edit
my
this?
to-do list is a lot of busy work, but like when I zoom out and think of the overall vision and goal here and really elevate, they come up with not only a better plan and better strategy, but they tap into a source of energy that will drive them to the finish line in such a way where it won't take motivation to get you to go. You feel pulled, you feel called, you feel energized and inspired to go after this. And at the end of the month or whatever, the quarter, you can take a step back and be like, wow, I really focused on what mattered most instead of what I traditionally fall into, which is the busy work. So I'd love to talk a little bit about that. I guess, like, how do you help people? And I know you shared it yesterday, but for the people listening today, like, how do you help people differentiate between whether they're stuck in a list of tasks and to-dos versus outcomes?
Well, you just made a really important point, which apparently there's a lesson that I typed in the chat box. I think it's lesson. But it's the difference between being busy or making progress. And this was one of the most important distinctions that one of our mentors, again, showed us when we were sitting down in our business the first time. And he made a statement that I thought was questionable because I'm a smart person. I've been doing this for over 22 years. I know what I'm doing. I'm one of the best in the industry at this. Things are working, everything's in the right direction. And he asked, he says, um, I wonder how much stuff is on your calendar that just keeps you busy but doesn't actually make any progress.
Mhm. Can you
I'll say
type
it again.
that?
I wonder how much stuff is on your calendar that just keeps you busy but doesn't actually cause you to make any progress. And when I heard that, I was offended. Do you think I'm not smart enough to know the difference between what's important and what's not? Of course I know that. And here's what happened. Over the next 3 years, I was able to remove probably 80% of the stuff off my calendar. And our business grew 123% over 3 years. So I was doing 80% less stuff week over week, but somehow our results were 124, 126% more than ever before. I ended up making more profit in a month than we used to make in a year. Like, what in the world just happened? This doesn't make any sense. I'm doing less stuff, but making better and more consistent results than ever before. And I clearly understood the 80-20 principle, which is the Pareto principle. So 20% of the activities usually produce 80% of the results. Everything else is just keeping you busy. But I never applied it at that level to that extent. And so having an outside source question me, challenge me, truthfully, to really ask the question every meeting on the calendar, how much progress do I believe investing this time will cause us to make? And everything that I couldn't absolutely and clearly say, this phone call is going to produce X amount of progress within X time. If I couldn't state that, his rule was to get it off my calendar. If I can clearly predict the amount of progress that will be made within what time frame I can expect that result, it needs to be removed. And it took 3 years to remove about 60 to 80% of the stuff that was on my calendar. But what was left is only doing the things that I could predict. This hour of activity will produce this amount of progress within this time frame. If I could predict that, I did it. And what happened was 126% growth. And so the question is, how could we apply this if we wanted to start for business owners? How do you apply this in your business? How do you apply this concept that says, if I can't predict how much progress will be made within what time frame, I'm removing it off my calendar? If we can uphold that as a base standard, all of a sudden, we start to create space. Now, if you're like my friend Gary, he figured this out and he did it. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you fighting with a
A bird
mosquito?
just flew into the window.
Oh no.
I didn't now we know why that bird was
No, poor
passed
boy.
away out there. I didn't know they did that. It just ran into the window and so went poop and then like flew away. Oh.
At least he flew
Anyways,
away.
it was a sweet dove. I have one more question before I have to go, but you were talking about your friend Gary.
Okay, my friend Gary, he applied this concept and he was figuring out how he could shorten all the meetings. He took an average of 45 to 60-minute meeting and he said, hey, if I can squish this down to 15 minutes every time, I can get back 30 to 15 minutes of my time every single meeting. What he found out was when you run 15, that's Windex. Whoops. Um, Someone put a comment on Instagram about Windex and how crystal clear that window must be.
That would be your doing, by the way. So thank you, Jared Robbins. You kept those windows so clean. He was trying to get in the
And I
house.
kept the window so clean that the bird didn't even know it's there. Oops, my bad. I'll leave a little dirt
I
up there
feel
next
really
time.
bad. I hate when that happens. Hurts my heart. Okay.
Okay,
Gary.
so Gary did this. He found out the majority of meetings that he was attending every day could actually get done in 15 minutes. And what it requires is a certain amount of prep work. What are we going to be covering? What is the outcome we're aiming for? What's the problem that needs to be solved in order for us to achieve the outcome? What are our top three options? Which one's your favorite and why? And then show up to the meeting. All of that pre-work is done. It's circulated amongst all key stakeholders. Now you're attending a meeting. Everyone knows exactly what our outcome is, exactly what obstacle we're solving for. What's the problem we're trying to solve as a group? And that's why we called the meeting. Now that we know exactly what we're solving for, here's the top three options that's already been predefined. Based on the top three options that's already been predefined, which is the favorite of the person who's running and in charge of and has ownership over the initiative? Great. Why is that the favorite? Awesome. Now we're going to call the meeting real quick. Everyone's going to review everything. Someone's going to say, hey, here's what we're here for. Here's the outcome we're aiming for. Here's the problem we're solving for. Here's my top three options. Here's one of my favorite and why. I'd love your feedback, or am I doing good? Now, most of those meetings can actually wrap up within 5 minutes. Some of those meetings might need the additional 10 minutes if someone's off track to go, actually, it ain't going to work. And so hopefully this is useful. Use this tip, apply it. My wife has to go. I love you. See you
I have
later.
to go. There's someone that really wants to join Performance Coach University, so I have to jump. I'm jumping on a call with them. I'm excited. But if you're going to stay on, there is one more question that I think could be really helpful to answer if you're going to
Sure.
stay on, or we can talk about it tomorrow. The question I would ask for people is what keeps people in those busy tasks? Like we saw that on the call yesterday. They could like drop in. It's like elevate, 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 but then they still go back. What keeps them there? I think that could be great. But if we don't talk about it today, then we'll talk about it tomorrow. Okay. All right. Bye. I love you.
Bye. Okay, so she proposed a question. The question is, what keeps people in those busy tasks? And there's a important distinction we made yesterday. Was the difference between a to do, a task, versus an outcome. And so if you drew a line down the middle of the paper and you're taking notes, on the left side write task, on the right side write outcome. One of our members in our community, we asked, what is the outcome you're currently working on? She's a new coach she's a coach graduate who's graduated Performance Coach University a while back, and she's building out her personal online brand. I said, oh, that's awesome. What a great outcome. What a great project to be working on. What is the outcome of this project? She says, well, the outcome I'm working on right now is to complete my website. And I said, well, wait a second. Is that an outcome or is that a to do? Is that a task? And she said, no, that's the outcome. The outcome is to get the website done. And I said, well, let's test this a little bit. Let's see if that is true. Why do you want to get the website done? And I don't have my notes with me, but off the top of my head, what she said was because I want more people to have a place they can go to understand who I am and what I can do for them, how I can help them. I said, that's interesting. So you said the outcome is just get the website done, but what I'm hearing is you want to create a hub where people can go, where they can clearly understand how you can serve them, how you can help them. Well, if they clearly understand that, what happens? What what do? They just go, "Great, she can help," and then they leave. And she laughs. She goes, "No. If it worked, then they would understand what I could do for them, and they would decide to then fill out a form to work with me." I said, okay, so the outcome to get the website done? It sounds like the real outcome is brand awareness for these people so they understand what it is that you can do for them to help them. But the real outcome is if that's done correctly, they'll fill out a form and want to work with you. And I said, well, what do you hope happens if they fill out the form? And she says, well, I hope if they fill out the form that they actually become a paying client and I can actually serve them and help them. I said, well, that's interesting. And I was like, do you just want people to sign up and, 24 hours later leave? She's like, oh, gosh, no, I don't want them to stay. So I said, well, wait a second. Is the real outcome here to finish a website? Or is the outcome to build your brand awareness? Or is the outcome to cause people to raise their hand because they want to work with you? Or is the outcome for people to sign up? Or is the real outcome we're actually focused on is creating clients that you build a long-term lasting business relationship with that stay with you in your business for the next, say, 10 years? And she smiled and went, huh. And I said, this is where we get busy. I said, how much time would it have taken to finish the website? She said, I don't know, days, weeks, months. I said, probably. But what was the real outcome? The outcome was never to finish a website. That's an activity, that's a task. The real outcome was to build a deep, long lasting business relationship with these 35 clients that'll last 10, 15, 20 years. That's the outcome. Now I said, question. If your outcome was just to finish the website, what would you be focused on? Well, the most important thing would be getting it done. If your outcome was to build brand awareness, would you build the website different than if your outcome was to just get it done? She said, yeah, of course. I said, well, wait a second. If your outcome was to get people to raise their hand to work with you, would you build the website different than if your outcome was to just get them to be aware of you? And she goes, absolutely. I said, this is the biggest difference between web designers and people who actually are a web strategist who know how to get people to take action off of a website versus just stare at it and go, that looks nice. Web designers, generally speaking, know how to design something that looks good, but they don't know how to effectively build something that strategically causes people to take the action you desire. So you build it different if your outcome was to get people to raise their hand. And I said, but wait a second. Would you build it different if the outcome was to cause someone to just sign up, regardless of how long they stay? And this is where a lot of the internet marketers go wrong, where their outcome is to just get people to sign up. Just sign them up, sign them up, sign them up. They're not trying to build a long-term relationship with these people. They're just trying to get them to sign up. And I said, would you build it different if your outcome was to just get them to sign up versus if your outcome was to build a 10-year relationship with these people? She goes, of course I would. It'd be totally different. I said, okay, then we better be clear on what the outcome is. Because if we're not clear on what the outcome is, we'll end up saying something like, well, I'm just trying to get the website done. And we'll focus on getting it done instead of building a hub that will allow me to build a 10 plus year business relationship with the people who feel seen, understood, and appreciated when they arrive, because they know what I do is exactly what they need. And I will put them in a process where we will build a genuine and lasting relationship so that when the work begins together, it'll last over a decade of us doing this together. Totally different. And so my 2 cents to you is really get clear on what the actual outcome is that you're aiming for, and don't settle for just high level tasks, because a lot of people get so busy doing tasks, they don't even know what the outcome is. And then once we know what the outcome is, we went through all the different line items she had listed of things to do. And we found out is that we could get to that outcome without having to do probably 80% of the list. We could get to the outcome she really wanted without having to spend weeks doing all this long list she had. We could focus on just 3 of the action items and actually get to that outcome. So we were able to carve off, let's say, 3 weeks of work out of a month because we actually knew what the real outcome was. And anyways, if this is useful to you, you'd like to come check out what we do, you're welcome to be my guest. All you need to do is direct message me and say, I'd like to check out the Core 4 or the Business Accelerator, where we teach these kind of tools. If you send me a direct message with that, I'll give you a link. You're welcome to pop in as our guest, check it out, see what we're up to, and join us. As always, I mentioned this yesterday. So it's been about 2 or 3 years since I went and took over a business and helped scale it and fix it. And so I wound down all my personal one-on-one coaching clients. And just recently, I decided to take on 2 to 3 more. I have about 5 people who filled out the application so far this week that I'm going to sort through and see if I can find someone who's really the right fit that I'm excited to take on. But if you're watching this live and you have any interest of working with me personally one-on-one in coaching, either about your personal performance or your business growth, please just reach out to me. I'll send you a quick application. You can fill it out. What I'm sorting for is who's the person that I feel passionately that I can help them absolutely magnify the results that they're going after. So any interest in that, send me a direct message. And as always, these lives are brought to you by Performance Coach University. Performance Coach University, we train the best performance coaches on earth. We're ICF and BCC accredited, which is the gold standard in the coaching space. Someone asked me the other day, do you really need to be ICF accredited? I said, I don't know. But if I was going to go fly on a Boeing airplane these days, I hope an outside accredited body has taken a look at the process of maintenance to make sure the doors or the wheels aren't going to fall off the plane. Kind of same thing with coaches. If I'm going to go work with a professional coach, I hope an outside regulation body has come in and looked at it to make sure the doors aren't going to fall off this thing. So we made sure to go find who is that regulation body that makes sense in our space. That's ICF and BCC. And we've had both of them look under the hood and make sure it is a solid, reputable program that absolutely delivers as promised. If you're interested in joining that and you have the heart of a coach, where you want to help others achieve success and really live with purpose, you can go to performancecoachuniversity.com/apply. Sam on YouTube is asking, how do I apply? Sam, you can shoot me an email at results@jarekrobbins.com, or come and shoot me a direct message on Instagram, and we'll get you an application so you can fill that out, and I'd love to do some work together. Okay, everyone, have an amazing morning, evening, afternoon. I will see you all later.